Hey guys, Mr. Cause here. I just wanted to use this opportunity to make a really quick video addressing this particular instance that happened to us, I believe 2 days back, or rather 3 days back, with regards to cost maxing, or rather the performance of the Herta using our free-to-play account. And I think these kind of sentiments can be found pretty much anywhere in the HSR community. So we will just use this as the example. Going forward in the future, should there be similar instances, we'll just come back to this big topic that we're discussing today, right? And that is actually something that I cover myself on the cost maxing guide in HSR, where if one X team can do it, therefore all X team should do it, right? So I will just use this as our prime analysis right here by Mr. Azure Dragon, right? To be fair, it is MrPokke struggling rather than the Herta. He is misplaying a lot, losing millions of damage due to very bad plays. He is scaling way too much with his supports. Watch the 3 cost the Herta get 0 cycle and 40k against the same boss, right? Keyword being 3 cost 0 cycle. That run a small Herta. Oh, that's it, huh? Oh, that's it. We will basically leave out the elephant in the room. What was the other thing with small Herta? Do you notice the elephant in the room with the 3 cost 0 cycle? I will proceed, right? Herta should always scale, never basic. The D Herta run got 40k 0 cycle, was also E0 at 0. And then we have another photo up. If you look at Genius Archive, despite the Herta dooming, she is a consistent top 3 and mostly top 1 in low cost 0 cycles. This isn't 40k, but rather 0 cycle pure fiction, and that many players switch to Sigonia, the Herta now instead of Izumo. Never did I think a Herta literal average edition of E1 tribute would be struggling to get 30k in pure fiction, to which the exact same guy, Azure Dragon 1, that the Herta team is extremely poorly built with very low investment, right? Very low investment. I guess it is pretty low investment, but I will legit show you guys my D Herta build on our free-to-play account, because despite our D Herta being on E0 as 0, right? If you guys see my effective subsets, you can also kind of tell how good that quality of a D Herta is. He is also misplaying a lot. His D Herta should be always in skill as the only creature that does damage on his team. Every other team has sacrificed damage for action value, action advance for the Herta benefit. This means D Herta should always be doing more than. My E0 S1 Jingyuan is competing with D Herta here and doing better. Yo, Azure Dragon, if you ever come across this video, show me that E0 S1 Jingyuan team. If that team did a better clear without M-Blade, I rescind this video. Right? Because the entire point of why I want to talk about this is because this entire low cost 0 cycle, right? The whole premise of if your X team can do it, not even your, by the way, because I don't think this is the same submission by Mr. Azure Dragon, unless bro is Korean and he is the exact same guy that submitted this run. This is not your clear, bro. It is by this Korean guy that submitted the 3 cost D Herta 0 cycle with the inclusion of an emblem. And the reason why I want to bring this up as an example is because I just made that cost video, right? You can check out that cost video right here. I'll put it on the screen on my editor. The thumbnail is right there. Because we talked about this exact same phenomenon with regards to why, if one single team can do it, especially on the Elitist website, it doesn't mean that every single team that is gonna be running the Herta will be accomplishing the exact same scenario, right? So let me just come here, and there it is, right? Wow, the 0 cycle run, right? So there's only 5 0 cycle on the entire D Herta Genius website, and out of those 5 0 cycle, 4 of which included a E0 blade, an E0 blade, an E0 blade, an E0 blade, and the last D Herta clear did not use an E0 blade, but instead we are gonna go ahead and use an E2 D Herta. Absolutely exceptional. So I'm just gonna refer you guys back into my free-to-play account right now. So this is gonna be my free-to-play account D Herta. Run this particular set. You can see I literally have myself 34 effective substats. I would dare say this D Herta is probably my best build, one of my best build units on my entire account, because if you just look at the amount of scholars I have, right, I have 694 pieces in Scholar Lost in every edition, because I was slamming every single one of my free-to-play energy on the Scholar set, because it was pretty much the most universal piece you could give back then, with 4-piece Sacrados as well as 4-piece Scholar to either my DPS being D Herta or Nexa, or I can give 4-piece Sacrados to units like RMC, units like Sunday, units like Spargo, and all that kind of stuff. Then for my Planar ornaments, I'ma keep it about, I didn't really farm Izumo, but we still have some decently upgraded Izumo, so you can see right here, right, we are gonna be having a 4 effective substat roll on a ice damage boost, as well as a 3 roll crit rate. I mean, the first 2, it is what it is, but I would say my 2-piece is also not gonna be too shabby of a quality. So this entire statement right here, where my D Herta is extremely poorly built with very low, I agree it is low investment in terms of cost, but when it comes to the actual build themselves, I really wouldn't say this D Herta is gonna be that far away, right? So my essential address to this particular statement, because is it really a 3-cost D Herta clear? Or is it a 3-cost M Blade clear? Because if you want to do the exact same thing, right, I'm not denying the fact that D Herta can 0 cycle. As a matter of fact, I think by the time this video is coming out, I already have the D Herta 0 cycle video up on the main channel, where we literally on our very first try accomplished said 0 cycle. Granted, it does have a higher cost, right? And we also did the exact same thing with Mini Herta, right? 07 trade because my main account does not have a global passive, but we did the exact same thing with Mini Herta, but even faster by using Asheville instead of D Herta. This particular video is not going about with the intention of saying, oh my god, D Herta is trash, because you can literally kill D Herta and get a faster 0 cycle of Asheville. No, it is more so why my free-to-play account, right? Because at the end of the day, this is going to be our free-to-play account, which I'm honestly very proud of, because if you take a look at my pools right here, okay, y'all can see, I have 79,000 of the premium Stellar Jades if I kill the kickers right here, as well as 45 limited pools, right? Of course, if I wanted to pull for an E0 S0 blade, I can very easily just go ahead and get that +1 cost. Easily. Even if I go hard PD, I can easily get the E0 S0 blade. But yet, despite that, I did not choose to get the E0 S0 blade. Is it because I hate D Herta? Is it because I want to intentionally sabotage D Herta so that I can show that D Herta is a dog shit unit and that nobody should be invested? Okay, my chat is obviously not helping me here. This is a very serious video, by the way. But the reason why I did not get myself that E0 blade is because there has been this trend of value holding up with wheelchair support and sub DPS. One example being the E1 Tribute. Alright, this E1 Tribute has given my free-to-play account incredible value. Right, incredible. I've used her with D Herta, I've used her with Archer, I've used her with Casterus. Nowadays, if I want a third team, I'm also slappy on the E1 Tribute. So to say that this 2 cost as a wheelchair DPS gave me value is genuinely an understatement. But yet, I still did not get myself that E0 Ezreal blade, the main reason is because, personally for me, I really don't think you need that many wheelchair supports or sub DPS in a single account. And the fundamental logic behind this is, for every single HSR version in a HSR endgame, I mean, at this point, we have 3-team endgame, all right? I personally feel the moment you were to go ahead and invest into this specific team, the less useful a generalist support is going to be. Because one thing I've noticed for generalist units is that they are really, really good for that version as the said wheelchair. Nowadays, if you want to use Tribi as a wheelchair, you could, but there are better options such as Emblade. And I personally believe that going forward into version 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, it is going to follow a similar formula where they will have a dedicated team. Right, a dedicated team with their dedicated supports. And if you want to go ahead and add on that wheelchair support sub DPS, you can essentially use those units to pull up your older DPSs. Right? That, I mean, like, even in Bro's own words, right? In Bro's own words, his E0 S1 Jingyuan, because of units like Emblade, could compete with units like D Herta. But that is not because E0 S1 Jingyuan is the same caliber as D Herta. It is literally because, despite using E0 S1 Jingyuan, Emblade is still gonna be able to help your DPS clear due to the fact that he is going to be a wheelchair DPS, exactly like how back in those days, I'm not sure if y'all remember, we literally did this wheelchair video on our main channel where we ran every single DPS, including Arlen. Literally my first time using Arlen to get ourselves the clear in Memory of Chaos using the back then version 3 wheelchair that's gonna be Tribi as well as Hyacinth. Am I gonna use this argument to say, oh my god, look at Arlen, the strongest lightning destruction DPS? Literally. Obviously not, right? Obviously, because I know at the end of the day, it is not because Arlen is a really good DPS, just like how I know at the end of the day, it's not that Jingyuan is a very comparable DPS to Herta. It is just because of the fact that we had that version's wheelchair to bring up older DPSs into the current caliber, which I think is gonna be a repeat formula for every single newer version going forward, so that players that pulled for a lot of older DPS can still use them if they decide to not pull for that specific version team call. So with all that being established, right, the most important thing I want to get at is, if it comes to slandering MrPokke skills, right? I mean, my own editor slanders me for no fucking reason.
Is that 42? Okay, at least we hit 42.
The greatest Honkai Star Rail tourist that has ever lived.
Anyway, so like, I'm completely used to it. My chest slanders me all the time. It's fine. I don't really care. But it will be really, really concerning if people use this benchmark, right? You use the example of E0D Herta getting a 4 cost 0 cycle, 3 cost 0 cycle, right? You use this as a reason why D Herta is a really good DPS. But in reality, I mean, true, right? You are going to be able to get a 3 cost 0, which is very, very low cost. But this doesn't discount the fact that you still need to invest in the set support of the version. So if I was going to be a player and I see this video being pushed out to me, I will be very inclined to pull for the related costs for D Herta, not realizing it is going to lead to an opportunity cost, right? It is an opportunity cost that if you keep investing in wheelchair DPS, you never really find like a stable team that does not need to rely on wheelchair and yet can still clear endgame content. Which brings me to the next elephant in the room, right? Clearing endgame content. So the team that I use for my free-to-play clear, alright, it is going to be... Where is it? Alright, where is my D Herta team? Alright, let's bring this buckle right here. This was the team that I used to clear my endgame content. Not 0 cycle, not 40k, to clear my endgame content. Would you say I should go ahead and get myself an Emblade so that I can 0 cycle 40k pure fiction? Because if I were to get myself an M blade and I do a sustainless, I could technically do it at a lower cost, right? Because the cost system does not help you decide what is the best zero cycle team so that you can go ahead and copy that said zero cycle team. If I were to do that, I will end up spending that one cost to replace essentially DHPD Anexa by slotting M-Blade and Baby Herta. But do you really think that is a cost reduction? Or is that a cost increase? The Herta website only takes into account what is the best performance as of this current point of time. But it will not include your previous pools, right? Your previous costs that you have already invested into your account. You can't just say, okay, you know what? I see that E0 Blade and E1 Tribute with E6 Herta can 4 cost 0 cycle or even 3 cost 0 cycle. I'm gonna go ahead and ask Darway for a refund, right? Refund my E0 S0 Anexa, refund my E0 S0 DHPD, which is basically right? Yeah, I want to refund all that, give me back my pools so that I can exchange them for an M Blade. Therefore, I can achieve the low cost 0 cycle. It doesn't work that way. The reason why people who use the cost system like this, it is exactly the reason why I wanted to make the cost system explain here in the first place, because people who push this agenda completely miss out on the fact that, while yes, it is a low cost clear, it is not a cost that you already own your account, right? It doesn't take that into consideration. You have to still make use of newer units, newer wheelchairs, right? Newer supports to add into your older teams just to get yourself the 3 cost 0 cycle, or maybe 4 cost 0 cycle when you already have the E1 3B. So what this inevitably does is that it looks like it's a low cost clear, but yet it is still gonna cost. If you like the joke, please subscribe. It is still gonna cost that player their premium currency because they can't refund their older units. So if I'm purely just chasing the best in slot 0 cycle low cost meta team for Herta, I will end up keeping on investing on the newer support and sub DPS, especially wheelchair support sub DPS that the version is going to release, which is going to eat into my premium pools for other units that I might want to consider for my free-to-play account. Herta is a unit that has been on my free-to-play account for since day one because she was my early game DPS. And I didn't get her S1, nor did I give Anexa S1, and I basically just have her this very, very low cost team comp while also not getting the wheelchair because she's still clearing content. And using the basis of a 0 cycle just to say Herta is actually really, really good, it doesn't display the full terms and conditions of what comes with that 0 cycle. And frankly speaking, I would have more respect for Azure Dragon if this was bros clear. It's not your clear, bro. You are saying that Herta can also 0 cycle 40k with a 3 cost, but is that your Herta though? Are you willing to commit on the same level of investments as well as relics, as well as the hours of resets so that you can prove to me your Herta is gonna 3 or 4 cost 0 cycle? Once again, it is not so much about the fact that Herta is bad or Herta is good, or they want to slander my gameplay or not slander my gameplay. But this entire premise of using low-cost units, low-cost clears, low-cost 0 cycles, it really fails to take into consideration the fact that you need to invest in newer units anyways, but you have already spent those costs for the older units. So it will become a very vicious cycle where in the process of you chasing low-cost clears, right? If let's just say you want to get a low cost clear for every single version, are you going to continuously pull on a newer unit just to keep your teams low cost? But at the same time, you are spending more and more and more premium currency for the sake of chasing low cost. Maybe if you are a Herta main, you could, right? If you really, really love her, like how I love Fei Xiao, I could get an M2 blade, right, for a low-cost Fei Xiao clear, because M2 Blade is a substantial damage upgrade, right? I could also chase, for example, E1 Dahlia to make E2 Firefly better, and I do not pull for E6 Firefly. I just keep it to E2 Firefly, E1 Dahlia, probably can get a lower-cost investment, right? But At the end of the day, when the day is going to end, I hope that this video can kind of just show why using the core system, specifically using the low-cost zero-cycle system, just to push your agenda where like, this guy sucks at the game, this guy is misplaying so much, the Herta XXX unit is so good, if my 3-cost Herta team can clear, then every single 3-cost Herta can clear. It is the wrong way of going about using the core system. I personally feel the fundamental reasons of why this thing exists is a overall net positive for people who know how to use them. Because if I'm gonna be a free-to-play account and if I were to search, right, for example, I want to see what is going to be the best upgrades for my DOT team. I will instantly see all of these very good DOT clears would have included units like a E1 High Silence, right? Like a E1 Black Swan. Then I would think to myself as a DOT main, okay, you know what? I can prioritize these two Eidolons instead of, for example, getting an E1 Tribi or an E1 Kafka, right? This is the true purpose of the course website because it can make better decisions for you as a player who wants to invest in said team. Right, another example, I don't see a single E0 final net 0 cycle in this pure fiction. So as a final main, the first thing I would have noticed if my entire final team is E0 is that, alright, I'm gonna get that E2 final. If that was not obvious enough, the E2 final is absolutely crazy. So hope this video helps, right? I'm not even like angry or upset. I just think it was a very good moment to spread peace, love, happiness, and education to the HSR community. And if you guys enjoyed this little education, hop on and subscribe. And the word of the day is going to be Drew. Join Discord. Use code POKE for 10% off gamer subs. All the best for a gacha boost, and I'll see you guys next time. Thank you.